the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, God bless America, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Audible, Stitcher, Double Twist, and I'm sure some others. Thank you once again for downloading and listening to the show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you today, as now we're going to look kind of at the nonsense, the fraud, and the lies pushed by the Biden administration and the left media nonstop. Basically the media in general, because the media is basically left by default. Locally, nationally, everywhere. Everywhere except maybe in the conservative media. Also want to introduce my new Getter account, Getter. So now Freedom of Thought is on Getter. The account is at Free Thought 7679. Obviously, 1776 was taken probably a long time ago. 76 was taken a long time ago. Freedom of Thought wouldn't have fit. So it's just one thing after another. Eventually settled on Free Thought 7679. 79 is the year I was born, so might as well go with that. So we were able to go in that direction. So do look it up. Do get on board, Getter. And then we can interact on there and build a bit of a conservative community fighting against the radical left and just all the nonsense and the lukewarm right, you could say as well. The lukewarm, the rhinos, the wolves in sheep's clothing, whatever the heck they are. It's a bunch of junk. We're going to, again, focus on the lies going on about January 6th and such, pushed by the Biden administration, accusing anybody involved on that day that maybe wasn't praising Biden and maybe have supported Trump at some point in their lifetime as a terrorist. And that January 6th a year ago was basically 9/11 or the Pearl Harbor attack by Japan reincarnated. So absolute insanity beyond belief. Let's just look at the numbers, and I actually tweeted this to Joe Biden himself on Twitter, the Free Thought, Freedom of Thou 76 account. Pearl Harbor, the attack killed 2,403 U.S. personnel, including 68 civilians. Can you imagine? And then it destroyed or damaged 19 U.S. Navy ships, including 8 battleships. Unfreaking believable, and the list goes on and on there. September 11th, obviously multiple buildings destroyed, and 2,996, so basically 3,000. Obviously, with the after effects of it, it's in the tens of thousands because of people that got lung disease and such, lung cancer from all the breathing in the asbestos and such. And the attack, well, it wasn't even an attack, just a disgruntled group of people. Wound up with 5 deaths, and guess what? A few of them were actually them. It wasn't they didn't actually kill anybody. The police officer, one of them had like seizures, one had a heart attack, and then 3 people were actually killed by police or security on that day. So, including Ashley Babbitt. So 5. It's like, let's see, 2403 with multiple, like tons and tons of ships either destroyed or damaged. 2,000, basically 3,000 on September 11th, multiple buildings and tens of thousands of deaths, aftermath. Yeah, kind of sounds like the COVID vaccine. It's probably hundreds to thousands to millions to tens of millions of possible deaths and horrible effects from that. And the U.S. Capitol attack, 5. And it's not even a solid 5 in terms of what took place. People, a guy having a heart attack doesn't count as far as I'm concerned. It's just, he wasn't killed by a person. The seizure thing wasn't killed by a person. So it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It'd be like basically we not even the equivalent of we shot down 3 Japanese planes. It would be we killed 3 Japanese soldiers and 2 U.S. soldiers got sick and died for whatever reason they had health problems. That would be the equivalent if it was Pearl Harbor. And 9/11 would be like, yeah, well, we killed 3 of the people on the airplane. The planes went back to the airport and moved on, and maybe a security guard, and then 2 security guards got sick and died, basically. So that's about the equivalent. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris spreading all this horse crap. We're going to play a clip from Pat Kessler again. Yep, we're going to get Pat Kessler back again. And there's so many other things out there you could find with Joe Biden and such. Alex Jones, InfoWars, The War Room, Truth to Ponder, highly recommended as well. Truth to Ponder. I believe there's, and Wayne Allen Root, of course. Yep, they cover a lot of this stuff as well. Huge shout outs to them. Huge recommendations. Maybe one day I'll get to go on one of their shows, with the grace of God. But this will be an extensive clip from Pat Kessler, so I'm going to kind of be here and comment and interrupt it as it goes, because it goes on about a good 10 minutes. Because it's not just, it happens to be Pat Kessler. Obviously, he's arrogant. He's got a big mouth. He didn't seem to be that way. He seemed to be kind of a moderate, honest, kind of kind person in the past. But we're kind of seeing who he truly is. But it's also, again, he reflects a lot of what the local and national media really truly is. This is who they are. You're hearing a lot of the same crap everywhere, basically, and such. So let's get started right about now. We'll see if it might be slightly before where I want to be as we try to get this going.
The albums that stored
Dan Barrero again,
Tower
of course.
of Power. And I think this album was called Tower of Power, as I recall it. This song is, of course, called What Is Hip.
Yeah.
What Is Hip. Great album. Great
Get
song.
on with it, okay?
Kessler's back
Here we
with
go.
us. Tomorrow is Jan 6.
Yeah,
And,
it is. Well, it was.
That's the anniversary of... it feels to me like it was years ago. But it was only a year ago, right? 1 year ago?
1 year ago tomorrow.
1 year ago tomorrow, Insurrection Day. Now, your notes
Insurrection
suggested
Day.
that the president might be speaking tomorrow. What do we know about that? I say president, I mean ex-president
Yes.
Donald J. Trump.
Well, depends on what you believe.
Well, yes.
Was Biden legitimately elected? I'm
No.
just asking. Of course, President Biden was lawfully, legally,
Of course, he
fairly
wasn't lying,
elected.
SOB.
The former president, Donald Trump, is set to have an event, give a speech at Mar-a-Lago, the White House in waiting, so to speak. He's going to talk about
What a jerk.
the insurrection, but he will say that the insurrection was actually in November because the
It
election
was.
was stolen from him.
It was.
It was rigged, and he was cheated out of the White House.
Yeah, imagine that,
The
Pat,
actual insurrection
jackass.
was on that day, and January 6th was just his supporters protesting.
Voicing their displeasure.
Yeah, so that's where it
Actually,
is. But
yeah.
let's be clear.
That
This
is correct.
A very, very difficult time.
Yeah, boy, keep gaslighting the
there
public.
There is so much
Let's
that
turn
we
the-
still
turn the
don't
gas
know
down a
about
little bit,
January
yeah.
6th. This was an
Unbelievable.
attack on our government by thousands of people who,
It was?
many of whom wanted to overturn the legal presidential election.
Now, if that's true, there would have
The
been a
first
lot more
time
deaths
in
and
US
a
history.
lot more damage.
So that's where we are.
Get your facts
And
straight.
The
Are you nuts?
investigations continue.
Your lies are
A
so
couple of
obvious,
things
it's
to
stupid.
note, among them, there is no evidence. There's no credible evidence. There's no widespread evidence of any kind of voter fraud that would have switched an election from
Pause.
Joe Biden.
You're kidding. Did you hear what he just said? There's no evidence at all. I mean, how about a little common sense at the bare minimum? Like evidence of empty lots voting for Joe Biden, where like maybe somebody lived like 70 years ago or something. Like empty lots voted for Joe Biden. There's no evidence. Where does he come up with this crap? Let's go.
Biden to Donald Trump. That's number one. Number two, this was not spontaneous. Initially we thought everybody just got all emotional and climbed the walls of the Capitol and broke down the doors and attacked police. This was not spontaneous. There were actually, there was somebody who planned this, and we don't
Yeah.
know the extent of that planning.
Yeah, his name is
but
George
that appears
Soros.
to be getting more and more clear.
George
And
Soros.
while a lot of the Trump foot soldiers
That's your
were
boss.
arrested for that riot, none of the generals, none of the planners have yet been arrested, charged with any kind of crime.
No, they haven't.
Are they ever
George
gonna be
Soros is free, so
We're
along with
here
these
into
other
this
people.
thing. I know now. Isn't Senator Klobuchar? Isn't she starting some hearings?
Yeah, Senator
And so,
Klobuchar.
what's that going to
Flo
focus?
Bach-
Well,
Bacher?
she is one of the very few who have actually worked in a bipartisan way with this.
Yeah,
She
bipartisan.
investigated the Capitol Police. Were they prepared? They were not. So they weren't. So what do you do?
Only Democrats are capable of bipartisan behavior, you know.
And she had a bill that was ultimately supported by Republicans and signed by the president to beef up Capitol security. Where we are right now is that the FBI is still investigating. 700 people have been arrested, many of them charged with felonies for trying to interfere with the election and for attacking police officers. But it kind of goes into three buckets. You've got
To be fair, of course there were some knuckleheads there that fell for this garbage as the Antifa dressed in Trump garb. Antifa and Black Lives Matter troops basically were ready to rock and roll. I mean, there's just numerous bits of evidence. You can hear that on Alex Jones and other shows, Owen Schroyer, The War Room. And it's not just that. I mean, the information is out there. So, again, do your own research. But, I mean, to be fair, there were some people that followed those knuckleheads. So, yes. But unfortunately, those knuckleheads never got caught. Did you ever notice that? The real quote-unquote knuckleheads that actually did all this stuff were the ones that actually magically disappeared. Magically delicious.
Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, the
buckets.
extremists, the right-wing extremists.
That's me.
You've got rioters who attack police, and they're charging
Stop.
those people with...
Rioters. Was there a fire anywhere? Was there a fire like in downtown Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, Atlanta? Who knows? Who knows what else? Are we tearing down statues also as well? And I know tearing down statues isn't going to kill anybody, but it's extremely disrespectful, and it's not your property for one. Let's see, were any businesses destroyed, where people's lives get completely ruined and shut down and put on hold because that's their livelihood. Oh, but that actually happened quite a bit. None of you pieces of crap ever condemned that garbage ever. They never really did. They're like, well, hey, what's the difference? George Floyd's life or property? I mean, come on. That was the only comment they'd have to say. Never about, they were arrested and they're going to be charged with felonies. Back to this.
crimes. But then you've got a large number of people in there who apparently are what I would just call walk-through protesters. Mm-hmm. People who got caught up in the excitement, quote unquote, of the day.
Wow, he might have said something true.
We're not there to overthrow an election, to attack police officers, and you see them in some of the videos where
maybe
they're
a
in there
few
kind of looking around,
that
taking
might be
pictures, and there's those people. So that's where the investigations are focusing right now. But 1 year out,
very few.
we don't know who did it. We have an entire large part of this country who says that it was okay.
Isn't that crazy? See, they don't know who did it. Did you notice that? They don't know who did it. See? See, before it's like it's Trump, absolutely, and we got to impeach him again, even though he's not even the president, because we already stole the White House away from him. Was that back in March of 2021? They don't know who did it. Yet it's all of us crazy cowboys, that happen to be, right of center and don't agree with this crap that took place on November.
Others who want to move on. But tomorrow is, I think, a sad, solemn commemoration.
Why has it been to this day so difficult for so many Republicans to call this what it is?
Because it's not true.
Sharks versus Jets, where I'm not going to give you the satisfaction.
There's
the other side of
Sharks
the
and Jets play two different sports, buddy.
Why is it so difficult? Because there were a few that shortly thereafter did try to separate themselves. It was
Sometimes you
almost
just
like
got to bow to the absurd.
then they said, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Sharks
Almost like
and
I
Jets.
did it once. That's it. Why is it so damn difficult to call this what it is?
Where do you come up with
why
Sharks
is that
and
to
Jets?
this moment? Because I know one of the issues that you raised, and I had seen this separately, is that the Star Tribune basically.
Why is it so difficult for you to see that there's something wrong with this election in the first place? along with other elections where it was clearly clearly crazy things happened. Ballots getting stuffed overnight. Trump ahead by 800,000 votes in Pennsylvania, and all of a sudden, all the crazy stuff takes place. The water main and all that, and the stuffing ballots, and there's pure evidence that was happening. Like visual evidence. It doesn't get better than visual evidence. And magically, Biden's ahead because they stuffed 1 million ballots towards Biden, and then Biden ended up winning magically by that exact margin. I mean, it's just hello. Why is that so difficult to understand? Bub.
He tried to get a lot of, talk to a lot of state leaders, Republican leaders, and none of them will touch it. None of them will get into it
because there's nothing there, brah.
Right.
To the state's largest newspaper. That speaks to most of the people here in Minnesota. They would not even respond to a question, what do you think about January 6th, 1 year later? We are now in
the state's largest newspaper
governor's campaign where there are 5
Star Tribune,
candidates for
slightly
governor.
biased, maybe.
Not a single one of
maybe because it's a little biased.
Would admit
just a little bit
that Joe Biden is the legitimate president of the United States. These are people running for governor.
Sure he
above
is.
and beyond the insurrection part.
Beyond all that,
Yes.
yeah.
I got a bridge
but
to
the
tell you.
insurrection was because of what
Yes.
people perceived to
Correct.
be an unfair election. Well, I think
It
all of this
wasn't
starts
a good
before
election.
January 6th. It's the lead up with President Trump in particular, but a lot of people saying that this was a rigged election, stolen. This is not right, and President Trump has refused to concede. And
because
a
it
couple of
was.
times he says, "I won the election." And so that is why so many people are in Minnesota too. 60% of Republicans do not believe Biden was legitimately elected.
That's a big
But
number.
here's something
Why do you think that
I think
is?
is a little bit chilling. We have seen the
Yeah,
emergence
it's chilling.
of Americans
It is chilling.
who don't fit the profile from January 6th of typical extremists. These are regular people
because
who
they
are
have a
caught up
brain,
in some
dumbass.
sort of extremism,
We're not just
like
cowboys.
radicalization by social media, who got caught up in this. But now this is permeating an entire political culture. The Republicans
Because
in particular.
it's obvious.
And by the way, I'm looking at
It's
a story
obvious.
MSN.com.
And how about chasing down Trump for the whole frickin' 4 years he was in office with Russian collusion when there was absolutely no evidence? Your own liberal flippin' media, your own liberal attorney general came out and said the same thing. I mean, you have no argument. You absolutely lose. If people could wake up, in the name of God, if people could wake up and see this for what it is, none of these people would be taken seriously anymore. Their careers would be over, and they should be. And Joe Biden wouldn't exist. Joe Biden would be in a nursing home somewhere, or just a retirement, or just on retirement getting, whatever he does, sleeping half of the day and drinking the other half. It's probably all he really cares about at the end of the day. When he was vice president, you could hardly understand a word he was saying at the time because he was drunk. Like, give me a break. The guy wasn't serious. He never was serious. The only thing he's serious about is robbing, stealing, and pillaging, quite honestly, the American people. Not like a true pirate, but like a corporate pirate. Evil SOB. Let's see if there's anything else here.
But now this is permeating an entire political culture, the Republicans in particular.
Well,
And
why do you think
by the
that
way,
is?
I'm looking at a story. This is off MSN.com.
Why do you think that is?
Apparently, your gal, Laura Ingraham,
Your gal?
yesterday, Monday. What's today? Wednesday?
Today's Wednesday.
It appears to me, it looks
Yeah, a few
like
days ago.
when was this dated? 7 hours ago. So I don't know. Maybe this was on her show yesterday.
Sure, probably.
Ingram questioned on air whether Trump should give a speech on the 1 year anniversary. This indicates that the next day he canceled the event, that he's not going to speak. Had you heard that?
I have not heard that.
Okay.
That's-
So I don't know if that's been confirmed or not, but apparently, yeah, this was Ingram on Mondays. Her show Monday said, given all the emotion and the lies about what happened, is it smart for the President Trump to do a rally on that particular day? And she apparently said no. Now I don't know if his decision has anything to do with that, but this story and a couple others I've noted are
Well, I'm glad
contending that that he's not going to give the speech. which
I'm glad to know that.
isn't the same thing as saying that he's going to moderate his position. It's just that he's not going
Right.
to give the speech on that thing.
Right, and so I think that's good in large part because that in itself could be an incitement for something. And President Trump has
Really?
done this
So
before,
automatically
where
we're going to all be...
he wants to provoke people.
Time out.
And
That could incite something. That could incite something. Let's see. What do your people do? Seriously, the Antifas, the Black Lives Matters, and such. Those are your friends. I mean, yeah, talk about inciting. Like anybody says a word, basically, like, "What do we want? Dead cops when? Now?" And they act like, "Oh, hey, we're not going to cover that. That's just, they have every right to do that. You don't know where they're coming from." You know how racist that is? It's beyond racist. It is, and it's racist going both ways. Like, oh, you don't know where they're coming from, so automatically a black person's coming from a bad neighborhood or a bad upbringing, automatically. And, or, again, but also at the same time, they deserve special treatment and should be pushed ahead of everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Both sides are complete crap on that. You're double racist, you freaking liberals. So, and at the same time, automatically assuming that, oh, Trump's going to talk, so that's going to incite something. We're going to burn down the whole city. No. Your side already took care of that, brother. Your side already took care of that. The peaceful protest with the absolute massive fire blazing in the background. CNN, absolute classic. It doesn't get better than that. It really doesn't. Let's keep going. I think we're almost done here.
Because that in itself could be an incitement for something. And President Trump has done this before, where he wants to.
Oh, Doc, this is heavy.
And so that's actually really interesting, and it's probably good. I know a lot of the Democrats are going to have some sort of thing, and that gets political also.
No.
A lot of the Democrats are going to use tomorrow to talk about what a terrible thing this is for the country. So if President Trump is not doing something, you're going to see
there.
A lot of the other supporters of this protest on January
almost
6th
1,000 of the
tomorrow.
deaths happened when you combine the other two. 5 to 5,000 range.
Do we know, you also noted that there was a forum, and I don't know, you give me more details about the forum, in which not a single Republican candidate for Minnesota governor would publicly admit Biden is the legally elected president.
Why do you think that is?
Specifically and directly asked that question?
Very directly.
Do you really think we're that radical and crazy?
Why could that be? In different ways. And
how
this was
dare they?
Hugh Hewitt, the very well-known conservative talk show host who moderated this Minnesota forum. And so he asked them all, very directly, is Joe Biden the legitimately elected president of the United States? And they hemmed and hawed around it. None of them would say exactly that. One said, well, he was installed as president of the United States. Another said,
installed.
well, the Electoral College voted for him, and that's how the process works. But they would not say that. And I see now, Dan, that I am getting
Why do you think that is, dude?
Confirmed on
Why do you think that is?
This has just been done.
Do you really think that many people are crazy and radical?
So thank you to everyone.
Of course you think that, or you want your Democrat friends to think that.
Let's try to figure this out.
Divide and conquer.
And to understand this is a strategy. Is it as simple as a belief that politically speaking, any Republican who says, hey, there's a lot of stuff about the lefties I can't stand, current administration, blah, blah, blah.
I think that's about it.
But let's not waste any more time with this. Of course, Joe Biden was legitimately elected. Now let's fire away at him and the Democrat. We got a lot of red meat we can go after here. Let's concentrate on that. The fear is if you go that directly, you're going to lose votes. Is that the deal? That then other candidates can say, well, see, that guy flat out says what you don't want to hear, which is that this election was not rigged, and that in fact the president was duly elected. Why is this so difficult?
Well, you're not going to get past
why is
the
it so
primary,
difficult?
when you have 60% of Republicans who believe that the election was stolen.
Because it
and
was.
President
That's
Trump
a lot.
is
There's a reason why
by
it's so
far
many.
the most important.
We're not all idiots.
Powerful person in the Republican Party.
We're not all
and
idiots.
If people are following him, and that's what his message is, and he does not support you, or worse, works against you.
Yeah. Okay, I think you get the idea. It's kind of repetitious now. You get the idea. I mean, that's just the way it is. I hope you didn't mind. That was a lot, but hey, and got to get my response to it. And I'm sure a lot of you may have been thinking the same, screaming at your screaming at your iPod or your Android device, Samsung, whatever the heck it is. That's where we're at, and that's what we're up against. And they're not going to stop until enough people finally stand up to them and say, yeah, this is a lie. Tell me lies. Tell me sweet little lies. I love when Truth to Ponder, Bob Bierman plays that song. So cool. Plus, I love music from the 1980s. Maybe one of these days we'll get into conversation, some gentle conversation about the 1980s. Maybe we'll talk about pets and cats and all that stuff, and talk about the weather a little bit, talk about the Mandela effect, Paul Tuna versus Caniff. It's like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'd love to get him on the show if you'd ever want to do it. Talk more about the Mandela effect. That could be quite interesting. He's like a Lieutenant Commander Data when it comes to information, those of you that like the Star Trek The Next Generation. Unfortunately, that show had a lot of, hard left political leanings in a lot of ways, but still a cool show if you can try to ignore that part. Ignore the part that obviously, that we don't need to fight wars anymore, and we united all as one in the world. We're all one world basically, and we're part of the Federation of Planets now, like Earth. We're the United Nations of Earth. We're Earth, and all that cute, beautiful stuff. Boy, yep. Soon I'm going to do an episode on wokeness. It's just a lot of this other stuff. Hey, at least I didn't talk about the vaccine too much yet. I'm probably going to throw some of that in again. It's just a simple thing. Again, if you're still falling for this nonsense where it's, you get the first vaccine, you're not fully vaccinated. Second vaccine, okay, you're fully vaccinated now. Nope, never mind, you're not fully vaccinated anymore. Now you need the third one, you need the booster. Now you're fully vaccinated. Oh, but you still got COVID. But it wouldn't have been as bad. But it would have been much worse if you didn't get the three, which Pat Micheletti, locally hockey, former Golden Gopher hockey player, played in the NHL for a cup of coffee because his freaking knee injuries, poor guy, was telling me that, in direct message, it would have been a lot worse. I was friendly to him because he was polite and kind to me. He wasn't the typical arrogant jerk, which a lot of people are when they're pro-vaccine and pro-left-wing, which I'm sure he leans. I'm sure he does, because when somebody mentioned Obama, he tapped the person on the shoulder and he said, President Obama. See, so I think that means he voted for him. I think that's safe to say. It's... obviously he's a nice guy. At least there's people out there that are capable of being respectful. That's what happens when they're a little bit older people, like in their 50s and 60s. Pat Micheletti in his 50s, I believe. Still in his 50s. Yeah, I don't think he's reached 60 yet. I couldn't have. But at the same time, just fooled. It's unbelievable how fooled and brainwashed they are. Again, have you ever heard of such a crazy thing? And how it just keeps happening? And how people just aren't saying, wait a minute. Knock. Hello? Something's wrong here. You can still get it. Okay, fourth jab, fifth jab. I've never heard of such a thing. It's never happened in the history of the planet. It doesn't make any sense. Sure, there have been boosters out there and there have been vaccines, but this is beyond belief. And they're already talking about 4 and 5 in Israel, and freaking figures how it's Israel, the promised land, the chosen people by God. No, you've got to watch it, boy. He who blesses Israel is blessed. He who curses Israel is cursed. And he who is cursing Israel with these vaccines, with the unbelievable amount of side effects that can happen, obviously cardiac especially. That's the last thing I need, because I've been through a lot, let's just say. I haven't had heart surgery or anything necessarily. Well, we'll call it, I've had an angioplasty. I probably shouldn't even say that, but I have. So it's, I have had that. And it was completely painless, except smushing my leg really hard afterward to prevent bleeding from that femoral artery, the very important artery that goes directly from your leg to your heart. So I've had that done. But just saying, it's the last thing I need. It's something that could cause myocarditis or blood clots. That's the last thing I need, including other people. I truly believe that Big Pharma has caused so many deaths and ruined so many lives. The numbers would be off the charts. So, it breaks my heart when I think about it. I do believe that my friend Neil Nate Dog Thiesing, former co-host of Brave the Wild, who passed away early February 2018, I truly believe that the side effects of the drugs that he was taking, painkillers, when he was going to have some kind of throat surgery because he was having trouble breathing, I do believe that that caused his death, the cardiac arrest. It was written right in the side effects of the exact drug that his mother wrote. On Facebook, she was writing that he was taking this drug. All the side effects that were warned on that drug, when I looked the drug up, every single side effect, including DEATH and cardiac arrest, making your heart stop, were listed. Every single one. Hallucinations, where he thought I was there in Lakeville. He thought I was there. Coming down the stairs, said, "Joey's here, Mom. Joey's here." I wasn't there. I was in Golden Valley, Minnesota. Every single thing. So I have, in a lot of ways, you could say there's a mission between me versus Big Pharma for what they've done. And a lot of these pill-pushing doctors that are going to keep pushing pills. They're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep pushing pills. They're going to keep pushing vaccines. And gosh darn it, it's got to stop. In the name of Jesus, it's got to stop. If you have doctors pushing more prescriptions at you every single time you go to the office, every single time you have a physical, they want to encourage you to add this to the list and increase this and add that to the list and increase that. You've got yourself you've got yourself somebody that either their soul's sold to Big Pharma, which is basically selling your soul to the devil at the end of the day, which, indirectly, or somebody who's just completely brainwashed into it. Maybe they don't mean it as an evil thing, but they're completely brainwashed. They've just, and it's going to take a miracle to wake them up, and pray to God in heaven that they do wake up. I pray right now, here and now, that doctors that may have been brainwashed a bit into this, that they will start questioning what's going on and stop pushing not only this evil vaccine and the evil booster, but stop pushing all these other drugs that make people lazy. You don't wake up till 2 in the afternoon when you used to wake up at 7, 8 in the morning and go to frickin' work, 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning and go to work like normal adults. Instead, they're waking up at 2 in the afternoon. They can't, their appetite's off the charts. Their metabolism is below their metabolism is basically underground, like the bottom went out of that. So it's things like that need to be absolutely defeated and knocked down. It needs to stop. Ruining these people, and then obviously other health problems come up, then they give them more prescriptions, and then bam, they're dead. They're dead. Gone. Neil was healthy. He was in good shape. He wasn't like a workaholic, necessarily workoutaholic. He was a workaholic, not a workoutaholic. All of a sudden, he could not work anymore. He put on literally about 200 pounds, which isn't exactly healthy for your heart. I remember when he was out biking with me, and he was... I was so scared, man. I was terrified. I was like, "Oh Lord, please don't let something happen to him." I was horrified, and guess what? Of course, something happened. Just 4 years later, it breaks my heart, man. It absolutely breaks my heart. It's just, things like that can drive you absolutely crazy. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. I could talk all day about this, and well, you just consider this a heartfelt plea to all of you out there, and maybe doctors that might be listening, or people that know doctors. Please stop this, and encourage your colleagues to stop this. Just stop it. Please stop. In the name of God, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, please stop. With that said, so how do I digress over into cryptocurrency? Just going to encourage you to join on board that. It's something that can help you financially in a lot of ways. It doesn't take a ton of investment. You'll want to get on crypto.com. Crypto.com. It is an application, not a website. It just happens to have .com in the name. Obviously, it's a very legit company. Heck, the Los Angeles Lakers and Los Angeles Clippers building, the former Staples Center, is now Crypto.com Arena. So pretty cool. Join on board that. Again, you don't have to have a lot of money to get started trading cryptocurrency. And they even give you $25 when you open your account, particularly if you join a referral with somebody else. So why not help Freedom of Thought and my other podcast, my sports podcast, but especially this one, because this one could use some help, of course. This one probably needs the most funding at the end of the day if we really want to get things rolling at some point and make this an actual bigger show, and record it more often, hopefully, as well, which would help. Join crypto.com. There's a link in the show description. Do join it that way. It'll show that I referred you, and both of us get $25 put in the account. And then again, that will help this show in a big way, because those funds can and will be used for this show. They will be used for this show. No question about that. And for the other podcasts as well. The Sports God podcast, Minnesota Vikings, Purple Mafia, Timberwolves Explosion, Brave the Wild. So, yes. Other thing, please call into the show. Please call in. I would love to hear your voice with mine on this podcast, on this show. Your means of being able to do that is open up your free voice recording application on any smart device on the planet. Anything even that could be really, really old or something pretty new or very new. They have free voice recording applications on them. Just open it up, press record, treat it like a phone call. When you hit stop, then save it and share it or email it to paladinolive@yahoo.com. Paladinolive@yahoo.com. I would then convert it into an MP3 file thanks to Zamzar.com. Thank you for that website for providing a free service, because if it's a small file like a call-in, it's free. If you want to convert larger files, maybe you do podcasts, or you want to convert music or whatever the heck else, maybe like an important meeting. You can sign up for a subscription with Zamzar, and then, you can have a certain amount of data converted per month. Pretty cool. So I'm willing to give them a free plug because they provide that free service. Why the heck not? Zamzar, it's with a Z. Again, though, it's, and like what I posted on the Facebook page, breaking news, 2 + 2 = 3, and then all the sheep repeated it. And then a man was yelling, but 2 + 2 = 4, and then all the sheep are attacking. And they're attacking him. It's obviously like a fun meme. One says, it's that YouTube conspiracy theorist again, or in this case, you could say podcasting conspiracy theorist, right? Where's your tinfoil hat? You'll kill grandma with those dangerous conspiracies. Yep, like what I was saying about the vaccines. Silence him. Yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote. We want to thank Brent Jacobson for originally posting that. Brent Jacobson, libertarian friend, maybe with some conservative, some liberal in him, but libertarian friend locally here in the Twin Cities. He's been a friend of mine for years and years and years. I first met him on the Timberwolves Explosion Twitter account. So Facebook.com, Freedom of Thought 1776. Twitter is Freedom of Thou 76. And now, which I highly recommend, this is probably a better group for all of us conservatives, Getter, Gettr. It is an application, and it has a website as well. If you want to use a web browser, getter.com, Gettr.com. Get on board that. And follow me on there at freethought 7679. There you go. I'll put it in the show description. Check it out. Obviously, get your account. It's super easy to do. It takes maybe 2 to 5 minutes. Get on board, join on board. Let's share things. Let's conversate, and it'd be great to hear from you one way or another. You can comment on things and tell me like your thoughts on this, stuff like that. Why the heck not? With that said, wishing you a wonderful New Year. Again, obviously it's New Year's. A wonderful month of January. Martin Luther King Day's coming up. Obviously, he's another person. Maybe that's when I'll do the wokeness if I can. Maybe I'll do the woke bit. That'll be my woke show. And honor Martin Luther King, because would Martin Luther King agree with all this woke crap going on out there? I don't think so, because it's not judging the conduct of your character, it's judging the color of your skin. One way or another, it is. Woke, get broke. That's all I got to say about that. God bless Martin Luther King, who talked about judging the conduct of a person's character. That is what it's all about. With that said, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.